Welcome back, folks, to the Business Blast on TEDMag.com. Thank you all for listening. This episode of the show is brought to you by the Starfish Company. Ooh, yeah, what's that? Who's the Starfish Company? Well, you got to go look up the documentary, The Starfish. But for right now, go to satco.com. That's SATCO, The Starfish Company. Satco.com, Greg.
Check out that documentary, 100% awesome, and you'll know what the Starfish is. You already know who Satco is. They're the best. Check them out.
What's up, Greg?
Okay. One thing I wanted to talk a little bit about today was, right now there's a lot of unemployed people. So is that, as a business owner, is that an opportunity to potentially hire? If you have, maybe you don't have an opening, or maybe you do, or maybe you're thinking about something, but now might be a good time because there's a lot of candidates out there. It can also be an overwhelming time because there are a lot of candidates out there. So a couple things I was thinking, and I'm not by any means an HR person, and you've said it yourself too, you're not either. We're salespeople that happen to be business owners that happen to hire people, so we kind of have that role under our belt, but it's not our full-time deal. So in my opinion, I kind of put together, it looks like a 5-step process. I had to write it down on what I feel makes sense, at least for me. And I'm going to explain that to you. And then you're going to explain yours to me, and everybody's going to win. Okay? So first of all, before you are going to hire somebody, you want to determine what you value as a company, what you value as an owner, what you're looking for in this person. And I have had discussions, and I think we've even had podcasts about this, but I think a lot of it can be summed up with conscientiousness. And we're not going to necessarily dive into that, but basically what it is thinking about, to me, conscientiousness is thinking about the person you're dealing with and what they're feeling more than what you are, because you're going to be interacting with people all the time, and you got to think about the other person, not yourself. If you're going to be conscientiousness, you got to be timing, you got to be easy to work with, responsive, communicative, all that stuff. All right, so that's what I value. So now I've determined that. So second step is you post the ad. And a lot of ad services, Indeed being one of them, actually gives you the capability to put a test out there. And you can choose what kind of testing you want. You can do a couple of them. And there is a conscientiousness test that asks them a series of questions that they have to go out and fill out. All right, so I've got an ad. I've got a conscientiousness test. And I only accept people that test. A lot of people fill out the app and don't do the test. You just ignore those people right away. They already didn't follow one of the rules. All right, so that's the second step. Now you're able to filter it out and look at your replies and your answers and your people, and determine from there who makes sense to take the next step with. And to me, step 3, I like as an email interview, and put a deadline on it. You want to tell people that I ask 3 questions in my email interview, and I want to throw away people that don't meet the deadline that I ask for, and I also throw away people that don't write emails properly. If they're not capitalizing words, if they're not spacing, if they're not doing things that you need to be able to do as a communicator in business, you're gone. That helps me filter it out. So the 3 questions I ask are, what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? What motivates you? And then describe your work style. I know it's real common, easy questions that everybody gets, but let them write it out. They can tell me it too, but I want to see them actually write it and then read it. So now I've got that step out of the way. I've been able to go through and do the next round of filtering. And step 4, what I see is, after I'm satisfied with the next people that I want to go with, I do a webcam interview. Maybe we used to do phone, but I like webcam. And the reason I like webcam is because it's confusing, and it makes people think on their feet, and, maybe have to do something they're not comfortable with or haven't done before, and see how they react to it. See if they can get on the webcam, see if they can get it to work, see if they can log in on time. I know connection could be a problem. Can't blame them for that. But at least see that process go through.
But if they told you they didn't have a connection and a camera right off the bat, that would be a sign of conscientiousness.
Correct. Yep, for sure. So that's what I like about it too. So you've got that. So now you do an interview with them right here, and you ask, a couple questions. And I basically got down to another 3, and assuming that the call worked out, they did it on time and everything like that. Is why are you searching for a job? Why are you interested in this job? And then why should we hire you for this job? So it's 3 pretty simple questions, but it should be open-ended answers that they can really take their time to answer. So now I can take that information with those 3 questions and then do my final step, which will be in person, when it's okay to be in person, and then deep dive. And that's where you get into the behavioral questions that you need to find out. There's a whole slew of different questions you can ask. But it took me a while to kind of figure it out, but I think that's at least what I'm going to attempt as my 5-step process. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, I would say that's a wonderful process. And I think you and I were emailing back and forth about this process over the last 6-8 months about how to get this right, and sort of you kind of honed it down real tight. I like that. And it has a Greg Ehrich spin to it. What I really think would be interesting to add to your thing, to your situation there, just from a psychological perspective, is tell the person to handwrite their answers. Take a picture of the paper and email that to you.
That's different.
Because what you'll be able to see with that is you'll be able to see their handwriting, if it's neat or messy. You'll actually be able to see if they know how to spell or not, because they won't have access to spell correct. And if they don't have access to spell correct and they're a bad speller, or they're someone that English is a second language for, what they could always do is write it on a computer, do the spell checks, and then rewrite it perfectly, is what a conscientious person that wasn't great at writing the English language would do. So it would demonstrate to you a certain amount of conscientiousness. It would show you their style of writing, whether their writing is neat, what kind of page they used, whether they used a nice piece of paper or not. And I think it would expand that window into who that person is far more than the computer answers on an email.
That's cool. I like that idea. Yeah.
It's like one of the things that if you wanted to look for conscientiousness in somebody, is to, if rather than interview them, just if like this is obviously impossible to do, but I'm sure this would work really well, is if you could see where they live on a typical day when they didn't know you were there. So, for example, if you were going to hire someone and said the interview process is a mystery, and then when they went out during the day, you snuck into their house. I'm not telling anyone to do this, weirdos. I'm just saying. But if you went into their house and everything was neat and their bed was made, say their bed was made. They had slept in it and they made their bed. Or their laundry was in a little basket in the corner. And the dishes were clean, the sink was clean, and the bathroom was clean. Now, I'm not talking about sparkling. I'm talking about orderly. Things looked like they had a place. You'd probably know what kind of person you were dealing with then anyway. You wouldn't even need to interview them. It's interesting also. It's interesting also the word conscientiousness. So, it has science in there, but it's also conscience-ness. So I wonder to myself, like to con someone is to persuade them to do something they shouldn't. Right? So I wonder about the history of the word conscientious. I wonder if it has anything to do with the definition of the word con combined with science. So it's like, I think what that word is telling you is that you need good human qualities that science can't measure.
Okay.
Right? That tests can't measure, that typical test, because this type of intelligence or this type of personality cons science a little bit. In that, and I'm not saying this is the etymology of that word, listeners, but what I'm saying is that it's interesting to think about that, because these types of character traits and personality things, people that are conscientious, they don't seek to blame others for their mistakes. When something goes wrong, they take responsibility for it and fix it. And this is an incremental momentum that people can learn to have and build in their lives. And that means that doesn't mean they don't have mistakes or problems or anything like that. But what it means is you don't see chronic mistakes. You see mistakes of action. You see no blame. You see apologizing. I'm sorry I did that. I screwed up, guys. And not, it was the other company's fault, or they changed this on me and I didn't know, so it mustn't be my fault. Right? They accept responsibility. And that's a conscience. People don't usually like to accept responsibility. And I don't know if that's why that is. So, yes, I love your process. I think it's wonderful. I would add one more thing to it for me, and everyone's going to laugh when they hear this, but that's the WAIT acronym. You know the WAIT acronym?
No. WAIT or WAIT?
Yeah, WAIT. Why am I talking?
Okay.
right? So like when I'm interviewing somebody, I always try to use the WAIT acronym. Why am I talking?
Mhm.
Right? And be like, Colligan,
Let
you
them do it.
always talk
Yeah.
because you're an asshole, right? Whatever. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because you're a loudmouth or whatever, or you just have interesting ideas if they want to say something nice about me. But, it's, I think that's important to listen to the person. Let them do 90% of the talking. Even if you feel the temptation to talk, permit the awkward silence.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let them continue on or end it when it makes sense.
And the final point I would make on your little strategy is I think it would come to complete fruition and be beautiful, absolutely beautiful, if you could teach someone in your office to do that for you and say,
Would that be
here
nice?
are your two candidates, Mr. Ehrich.
Yes, get it narrowed down.
Which one would you, and so you only do step 5 or whatever the final step was.
Yeah, that's the right move. Get this more efficient. Pack it down.
Folks, this has been the Business Blast on Light TED Mag. Not Light TED Mag, but Light TED Mag's great too. They're related. One's about lighting, one's about electrical. So tedmag.com, the Business Blast. We love you guys, man, all you listeners. I need to say wait to myself all the time. Why am I talking? But I'm talking right now because I want to tell you about Starfish, Greg. Come on, man.
Satco.
Ooh, satco.com. You know what, man? That family that runs that company has been doing the light thing and the right thing for a long time. And go to satco.com. That's satco.com, baby.